Hello, hello, hello. Oops, just play with my camera there. You can see me sitting between my cushions on a very squeaky chair here. So today is day 3. So I've been talking about busting some of the myths around what it actually means to be visible, visibility myths, visibility mindset, and today I'm going to talk about credibility. And I guess today I'm going to talk about crushing your credibility. But I'm kind of going to do it in 2 ways. I'm going to share with you not 2, not 3, but 6 things you do that crushes your credibility. Now, depending on which side of the fence you sit, crushing your credibility could mean completely destroying it. And crushing your credibility could mean completely acing it, completely being out there and crushing it in a kind of Gary Vee type of way. So I'm going to share with you 6 things. I'm going to attempt 7 minutes again. I've been getting on to 10, which has been great. But I want to share these with you because I know that some of you think that to be a business and to be successful and to do it and to show up online, that you have to act or be a certain way. And that's strictly speaking not true. Now, the reason I know this is over the years, I've sometimes experimented with, just different ways of being visible, different ways of putting myself out there. And I've had the honour and the pleasure to have curated, not created, but curated a gorgeous group of people known as the Visibility Vibes Tribe. It's took me years to bring these juicy people together. And in this Facebook group, I can share my golden nuggets. I can share lots of different things around visibility, around business, and around really crushing your credibility. And over the years, what I've seen is people have gone out, they've tried it, they've had success with it. Some of them have implemented it, some of them haven't. Some of them have been worried about what effect it could bring. And I'm not immune to this. I too just very recently had a call with a private mentor that I'm working with. And I voiced something that I've actually heard my clients say, but I voiced it on such a kind of another level. And the minute I said it, we literally both laughed. So I'm not immune from this. And this is why I look at these things, I test them out, I try them out. First on myself numerous times, because I want to make sure that they work properly and that they're in line with being visible, credible, and authentic, which I know many of you love. Second thing is I want to make sure that it works for those of you who are like authors and speakers and freelancers and offering services, because there's a slightly nuanced way of doing that, more so than the product-based businesses. But I've worked with those over the years, from high-end designer wear to skincare products. I'm trying to think. I've worked with event companies, which I know is kind of product-y but service-based. I've worked with lots of different companies who have actually sold physical things as well. So I want to make sure that they work for me and they work for them, and in turn they work for you. So here are some of the things that I've been seeing. And I've been doing this for 11 years, remember. So this is not something that I've pivoted to in the pandemic. And I've been really fortunate enough to have some really great gigs. And I'm not going to go on about that. If you want to know what they were, then have a look at yesterday's video, or the day before, whenever you're watching this, and the day before that. This is now day 3. So I'm going to just jump straight to crushing your credibility, no's and yeses. But I'm going to start with the no's, because if I just highlight just a handful of those things, then I can flip it over and tell you things that you can do instead. So I'm going to use the same 3 examples. Now, this is important, whether you're thinking of starting a business, whether you're side hustling, whether you've just got started, whether you've been at it for a while, but somehow haven't really felt like you've been making the money that you've wanted to in your business. The thing that the glue between the sales and marketing for me of your business is visibility. And if we stuff this up too many times, I mean, we all make mistakes, but if we stuff this up too many times, it can cost you your credibility in a way that you can never get back. All this is about is building up your know, like, and trust factor. So here are 3 things that I've seen people do. Like I say, I'm going to tell you how they boo crush it, and then I'm going to show you how they yay crush it. Okay, so let's start off with the boo first. And I haven't got my glasses on. I planned to do this outside, and then there was an absolute downpour. So I'm now sat inside speaking to you because I really wanted to keep my promise to do the 3 consecutive days of this particular topic. But I'll be here again tomorrow, I'm sure. So the first thing, oh gosh, yes. The first way that people think they have to be credible, and there's lots of different reasons for this, especially as you are likely already a professional. Maybe you've come from a corporate background, maybe you're a doctor, a lawyer, all of which I've worked with, those types of professionals. And you have studied so hard, and now you've learned to position yourself and position your work. That study has likely led you to, and let me think of some other like psychiatrists, psychologists, that those years of study have likely led you to, collect letters after your name and all this sort of information. So I see people do this a lot, mainly on social media, but also in person too. What they'll do is they'll introduce themselves to an audience, and rather than show the audience who they are, they'll list off all of their qualifications. Now, there's nothing wrong with qualifications. Actually, whether you have them or not, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you use your qualifications to try to create credibility in your audience, it can sometimes go over their head. And I'm going to explain why in a little while. So, if you have got lots of study under your belt, lots of qualifications, and you're very proud of them, by all means, share them wide, share them loud. But when you're looking to position your credibility in your topic, in your chosen subject, whether you're doing that online or offline, drop the verbal CV. It doesn't do anything to let people know that you can help them. The second thing is posing pics, I'm going to call them. Again, I was recently talking to somebody about this. Now, I remember not so long ago, and this still happens now, especially if you're in a big kind of network, there'll be somebody that's well known within that network, within that industry, even within that organisation. So you'll be out and about, and I see this more in self-employed professionals than employed professionals. They'll go up to them, they'll get a picture, and then the next thing you know, the picture's on their banner, on their Facebook page, on their business page, it's on their website, it's on their email, when all they've actually done is pose and had a picture with the person. Kudos to you, you got that picture, you managed to do it. And I think this stemmed from people seeing Oprah. I mean, who wouldn't want to have their picture taken with Oprah? But you know that if someone's standing chatting with Oprah, it's likely that they've done more than just stood there and posed for a picture. They haven't just kind of randomly seen her in the street. So I see a lot of people doing these posing pics. And again, in just a couple of moments, I'm going to show you what you could do instead of those posing pics, because they don't actually position your credibility in the way that you want them to. And I want to show you how to do that. And then the third thing is positioning your story indirectly. So I'm going to go in reverse order. I'm going to kind of tell you the don'ts and then tell you the thing to do instead. So a couple of years ago, I was on the BBC at lunchtime on TV. It was a Victoria Derbyshire show, and I'll explain in a moment how I got on there. Now, after this news segment, the producer sent me a text message and said, "Thank you so much. Definitely would have you back again to speak on this topic." And I think said something like, "You're a really great presenter." I thought, brilliant. I've never had any press training, and you never know how you're going to come across. It was nice that old colleagues saw me. One of them was at work in a building, and one of those buildings where you go up in the lift and the TV's playing, and they saw me on the news and went like, "What the hell is she doing on there?" So all of that was nice, and all of that is great. However, I was very careful how I positioned that, and I'm going to show you how, because I'm going to talk about the 3 ways that you can crush your credibility in a yay way. Okay, so taking that last example, the Victoria Derbyshire show, what actually happened with that was that I was called upon actually quite at the last minute. So that's the first thing you need to know. But I was looking for somebody else to fill that slot. It wasn't going to be me, because I wasn't speaking about visibility. I wasn't speaking about business. I wasn't coaching anybody. I wasn't talking about what I do within my business. So I actually tried, I think it was 4 attempts I made to find somebody to speak in that slot. I tried clients, some people were at work, but the thing that I remember most about that day, which actually saddens me, is that a lot of people weren't ready. They just weren't ready, and I know this because they told me that. oh, Jenny, next time this opportunity comes along, let me know then, and I'll think about doing it. Well, you never know when these opportunities come along. I know what readiness looks like because I remember being offered a segment on BBC Radio, and it was on breakfast time radio. And I remember saying to the producer and the researchers, I could talk about this, but it's not my area of expertise. But I do know of someone who's perfect for this. Let me contact them. Give me like 5-10 minutes. Let me contact them and see if they're free and they can do it. I did it. They were like, absolutely. They jumped on. Again, they had no press training or anything else like that. So the thing about the positioning, the kind of, don't position, like if you are doing something that's outside your area of expertise, be proud about it. Tell the story behind it. This will convey much more credibility than you think. It's not about trying to hide or pretend or be disingenuous. It's just about showing your true value and what you do. So I shared that story about the BBC because I could have put as seen on the BBC in just that context. But the reason that I tell that story was because I don't want you to ever have an opportunity in your professional career where somebody wants to call on you and you don't feel ready. To me, that is the worst feeling that there is, when you have that inner crisis of confidence and you don't feel ready to stand out. Now, I'm going to see how I'm doing for time. So you'll see my big thumb. Oh gosh, I've gone well over 10 minutes. Sorry, maybe a couple more minutes because I'm just going to wrap this up. So this is the thing. I want you to be ready. So that story could convey credibility of me being, on TV and all of that kind of stuff. But actually, what I want you to know from that story is that you can be just as ready. It's not just about holding your nose and jumping in. It's about that inner unshakable confidence, which the work that I share around visibility does exactly that. So just so that you know, they wanted a millennial and they wanted somebody that spoke about renting. There was an article that had been published that day, a report actually had been published that day, and they wanted somebody to speak to that. And interestingly, I was neither of those. I wasn't a renter in the way that they were describing, and I wasn't a millennial. But if you Google me and look on YouTube, in fact, go onto YouTube and put Jenny Kovacs on BBC, you'll see the 6-minute segment on there. You'll see what I spoke about, and you'll also see that I conveyed credibility and confidence, even though the person that I was speaking kind of against or with actually worked in the industry. Okay, didn't do any trashing or anything, but this is how I want you to be. I want you to have that unshakable confidence so that you can speak up and speak out and be visible when you're ready. So that's the first thing. Now, the last two things I'm going to quickly go through. I talked about those posing pictures, didn't I? So those posing pictures are actually great social proof. Again, tell the story behind it. Remember the word pie. Your personal insights and experience are what people really want from you. That's what makes you credible, whether you're an employee or whether you're self-employed. So sharing the story behind something has far more gravitas. So, true story, I met a man called Frank Kern. Now, some of you won't have a clue who Frank Kern is, but he's a very established internet marketer. And I asked for a picture with him. He was at an event, but I didn't see him in all the rush of everything else. I had a picture with him at the event with a couple of my friends and his wife, who's a Victoria's Secrets model. And the reason that I share that story was I actually got to have a proper conversation with him. People weren't kind of rushing him and trying to get their picture with him. But the other reason why I would never like to look at that and post that as a, hey, look at me with Frank Kern, was because we were having a conversation, a genuine conversation. I actually taught him how to swear in a British accent, which he liked. He's American. But the other reason not to kind of like blast it out there, half of you are already going, Frank Kern, who's that? Though he's well established, he's not known to everyone, and it depends on the field you're in. So sometimes you could have these lovely pictures of different people and have your audience or your co-workers or your organisation or your industry just saying, who the hell is that? Far better that you tell that story, convey that story, thus conveying your credibility. And then the final one, I talked about reading off your qualifications. Here's what to do instead, in a nutshell, and I'll probably do another video on this some other time. In a nutshell, rather than saying I studied this, did that, got this degree, and listing off like a verbal CV, and this is great if you're doing a presentation too, why not talk about your own personal experiences? You could say, you know, I studied hard for X amount of years to get this degree, but what people didn't realise behind it was that I was single-handedly looking after a family, I had a health crisis, and you know, I was having to work late into the night, early hours of the morning to study, and then explain what that did for me was. Okay, and this is not too dissimilar to some interview techniques, but what that did for me was, what that showed me was, what I learned from that was. And if the thing that you learned from that experience is very like closely connected to the work you do, even better. So I encourage you, go out there and try it. Now, for those of you that are in the Visibility Vibes tribe, it's like our sand pit, it's like our playground. It's a place that you can go in, practice typing these things out, speaking these things out on video, or even making a Facebook Live if that floats your boat. Go in and just play with it, practice in there, because at the same time as playing and practicing, you're actually giving the other 900 plus people in that group the opportunity to know more about you and who you are and what you do, which in turn, I think is the best form of marketing you can do for yourself. Remember I said visibility is the glue between sales and marketing. This is what gets your sales and marketing to work for you. And again, if you're an employee, you still have to convey your own kind of personal branding in the workspace, in your organisation, with your team, or even within your industry. So send this video to someone else you know, who you know is kind of ambitious and wants to go for it as well. Do share it, and if you want to, just click the share button and share it as a private message, but let them know why you're sharing it, apart from because I told you to. So if you're not already in the Visibility Vibes tribe, then definitely click up. For those of you that have been looking for a way to work with me or have previously enjoyed my workshops, I've actually got a 3-day workshop that's coming up in September. So I'm going to give you like first dibs and first access to that. So do keep following, do keep looking, and please like this page because you won't know what I'm sharing if you don't. I've gone way over 10 minutes, so I'm going to go now and make tea, as they say up here in Stoke-on-Trent. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. I'd love to know either which action you're going to take from watching this video. Just post in the comments below. Or if you're still mulling over, well, what action am I going to take? What are you going to reflect on? What is it that you've heard in this video that you might not have known before and you're going to do differently for next time? I'd love to know. If you don't want to say it publicly here, then go over to the Visibility Vibes Tribe group, where the only people that see your comments are the other group members. That's it. Tag me in. I'd love to see what you share, and I'll speak to you again on here tomorrow. Bye for now.